I do it all. The Brezza gives me the power.
Clinical, comprehensive, and really looking the part now. The Mumbai Indians, the rest of the league, take note of the five-time champions that have now won 4 on the trot. They've done the double over the Sunrisers, of whom questions will continue to be asked about their approach, about their batting failures and more. One-sided contest yet again. Unfortunately, that seems to be the theme of the week in the IPL. But we bring in your questions, comments, and we also ask the questions of this game on Maruti Suzuki Arena Presents ESPN Cricket Info Timeout. I'm back. Of Nick Knight, Varun Aaron, and Dustin Silgardo. Now we've seen both teams bat on it. Once again, game done in the first half?
Yeah, just way short, actually. I mean, we debated with the 180, maybe there was a bit in the surface, didn't look like there was much in the surface. I thought maybe Rickleton, it just held a little bit, but just not enough runs. You've got to give a lot of credit, though, to Mumbai. I mean, they did exactly what they had to do. You feel a little bit for Sunrisers bowlers because they didn't really have much to work with.
Yep.
But I thought, you nailed it there. Clinical, it was clinical. It was clinical. It's everything you want to see. And when you look at the final piece of the jigsaw, 4 wins in a row, are they peaking at the right time? Rohit's form, Trent Bolt's form as well, picking up wickets. It's just kind of coming together quite nicely at a good time.
Every box slowly getting ticked. Most significantly, is Rohit Sharma back-to-back 50s, I believe, for the first time in the IPL since, do you recall? 2016.
More than his back-to-back 50s, I thought that shot to Jaydev over extra cover was just a sign that Rohit Sharma is back, because that's a shot which he plays only when he's in form. Yes, he's a really good player of the pull. He can hit down the ground, but when he starts playing those shots to extra cover, that to a fast bowler, dangerous sign for the bowlers.
Dustin, dig up the story from your point of view.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was all done in the first innings, really. I don't know what you can really say today for Sunrisers because it's not even like they played that many aggressive shots. They played about 10 aggressive shots by 4.1, which is when they were 4 down. Nitish Kumar Reddy, the very first ball, he actually tried to attack, he got out. It's not like he came and swung at 3 or 4 and missed. He defended a couple, looked for a couple of singles, but I mean, as Nick said, Mumbai just bowled really well, took the pace off. And I guess sometimes we can keep talking about intent and shot selection. Maybe sometimes it's just execution, Have you practiced that shot enough or are you executing your shots well enough perhaps?
Why don't you go back to that amazing stat in the power play wickets column of both last season and this season and make that GT comparison? I want to go back to that and get Nick and Varun's views.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're two very different sides with very different players. But, I mean, basically what GT do is they hit a lot of 4s along the ground in the power play. So I think they've hit about 30 plus 4s just along the turf in the power play. And they've only attempted about 40 aerial shots in the power play. Whereas with teams like SRH, and it's the same with Punjab Kings who are being successful doing that, they hit much fewer shots along the ground. So it's in the low 20s. And then they've both hit, I think, about 80 shots aerially in the power play. So it's just a lot more hitting in the air. But again, that's, I guess, the kind of players, you've got Gill and Sudarshan who can do that, who can play those shots. I don't know if these teams have.
And then with
players.
Punjab and SRH, they also lose the most wickets in the power play. So there's a clear correlation between trying to hit too many balls in the air in the power play and also getting out. And then coming back to that, if you just see the way Sunrisers have batted, they're just following the same pattern. Yes, you can hit a few shots along the ground. You don't have to hit everything in the air. You can still, a 4 is a good shot, but if you're going to try to hit everything in the air, you're going to get out often more than not, especially when the wickets are like this, when they're slowing down towards the back end.
That is an important point as well. I don't know how much Hyderabad will be feeling while we lost the highest wickets last season too, right? You said, which was around 30 plus, so no more.
Well, that was including the 2 games they played in the
playoffs. But we were successful, they would say, losing wickets in the power play, but going in this template, but we're not this year. And how much would they attribute that to? We're not getting the surfaces this season at Hyderabad as we got last year.
Maybe some of that. I think these discussions, you've got to be a little bit careful. It's almost like you cannot put one size fits all here. You can't say, well, Gujarat Titans are the best, they're doing it this way, everyone's got to follow. What Gujarat Titans are doing the best is they're using their resources the best. They're the type of players that play like that and it suits their style. When you look at Abhishek and Travis said, I don't want to see them hitting on the ground. I'm more than happy with them trying to hit it aerially because that's what they do. That's what they do well. Where I'm slightly concerned with SRH is when that doesn't work and you find yourself 2 down quickly, that's when you've got to haul it back for a little while. That's when you've just got to reassess a little bit. That's where you've just got to say, okay, it's perhaps not quite working. We'll try plan B for a bit and then go back to plan A. So you kind of go a bit like this. At the moment, it's a bit all or nothing. There are times when you just have to rejig the attitude, the approach a little bit, and then get back on it. And that was my point today. If you're 4 down, it's almost game over. 4 down for 13, game over. I wonder when you're 2 down, whether you can just haul it back a little bit, have the partnership there with Klaassen and someone. Then you don't need Abanaf as your impact sub. Then you can use an extra bowler. Then you might be able to get an earlier partnership than you ended up. All those sort of little things can play out important moments in games.
And I think the only reason they're not getting Klaassen up top is because in case Klaassen gets out, then it's pretty much game over, right? So they're like, okay, he's our trump card. Let's at least make sure that he bats to the end. Gives him 8 or 7 overs. I'm just trying to reason this out because that's the only reason I can think.
I go back to your points on one of our previous shows today of you need to have somebody who's capable of playing that role, 100%. Somebody with gears. Now, I wonder if when they bought Ishan Kishan, they thought, yeah, this is actually someone who can play both those roles because he's played all formats for India or because he's perhaps suited for it. Or the big one, Nitish Reddy, and whether it was fair to expect from him that he seems almost out of place playing in the same tempo as Travis Head and Abhishek. If it comes off, it comes off. But is he a better player than the returns that we're seeing? And we're just seeing a woefully out of form 3 and 4 now for SRH.
What you must understand is, last year, the SRH middle order was riding a wave basically. They were riding a wave of Abhishek and Travis Head on the top, and they were just going with it. No pressure, just come out and absolutely smelt all the bowlers. You know, more often than not. But now the same middle order has to take on pressure, and pressure is a very different ball game. The body works completely differently, the mind works differently. So like, what's happening is basically we're coming back to that same problem that Abhishek and Travis Head have to score, and that's where it's all going kaput.
No surprise that the 2 games they have won.
Yeah.
This season is the other games that they have scored.
But that's not a template to win a tournament.
Sure.
It's definitely not.
It's simply not.
Yeah.
So you've got to find a way to work around that because Shubman Gill and Sai Sudarshan, although they've done it pretty much between them with Joss Butler, are not. It's hard to imagine they can do it for 14 games. I know they've done it for 8, but there's still 6 games to go. That middle order at some point has got to find a way of winning the game as well when they don't. And these guys are more than capable. Henrik Klaassen is one of the very finest players in the world. He should be batting it as soon as the 6 over ticks over. You go in. Nitish Reddy looks like it needs to just drop down a little bit. They've got to find a way. They can't just keep saying it's not working.
I wonder if even the Klaassen subject is not necessarily one that's been successful this season. While he got runs today, if we are extending this to the whole season,
He had a chance.
there are games, Nick, in the past, in this season itself, where again, it's not like Klaassen has held things together. He's also been guilty of not being the guy to stand up when Travis and Abhishek don't. And this is your high-priced retention, 23?
But then, you see, a lot of the finishers, MS, Russell, Klaassen, they need somebody to set it up for them. They can't. It's not humanly possible for a finisher.
But do you think Klaassen is a finisher like MS and Russell? I think he's more to.
No, I would say he would finish an innings for you because he's in this team. He's a finisher. Who else except Klaassen is looking like a finisher to you in this team?
He's a starter and a finisher.
Yeah, I mean,
he's Nicholas. For me, he's Nicholas Porang 2 years ago. Everyone will be saying the same about Nicholas Porang. You know, he's a great finisher. He's done this. He's done that. 2 years later, we're talking about he's top of every chart. He's top of every list. Run scorer, 6 forward, what? Literally.
Yeah, but
that's because he's given the opportunity to do so.
Yeah. But in this setup, he's a finisher. In this setup. Because in this setup...
Yeah, you have to have Kishan at 3.
Yes. In this setup, if this was, say, the Mumbai Indians team or, say, any other team where you have power hitters down below, yes, number 3 is the perfect spot for him. Completely agree with you. But if you don't have Klaassen somewhere in that 12th or 13th over, then it's difficult.
But can I simplify it yet more? I mean, this is my view on it.
Yeah.
When does spinner... He's the best player... maybe this is too categoric, but for me, he's the best player of spin in the world. Right? So you want your best player of spin playing spin and when it's being bowled. When is spin most likely to be bowled?
5, 6 and after.
Yeah, 6 to 15. That sort of range there. I want the best player in the world to be batting at that point where I can exploit those conditions the best.
Well, they gave him that entry point today.
You're not going to be using those times, are you? So
yeah. So I mean, I get that, and I guess what's happening for them is when it's bad, it's so bad that even Klaasen coming in the sixth over and playing perhaps his best innings in a long time is only getting you to 150. Whereas on those days, you're hoping that two batters can at least take you from 40 for 4 or 40 for 3 to 180 rather than, what was their power play score today? I mean, there was 16 for 4 at one stage.
21 or 22 for 4.
I don't think many games have been won being 21 for
15
4.
for 4, I think.
Power play.
Power play.
But 21 for 4 on the power play, it's like, it's hard to win this.
Hard to win that.
Let's just talk about these two games for what it's worth. By the way, when you were saying he's a finisher, my producer was saying he didn't finish the World Cup, but that's just my producer.
He's supposed to.
Yeah, I'm not going to encourage that any further. I don't know why I said it also. Anyway, I wonder in these two games against MI, which were important for SRH at the time, whether there has been a converse effect of the Bumrah factor, where he didn't get any wickets today, but because since Bumrah's come in, you have to go even harder at the rest. And whether that explains why taking down Bolt, taking down Chahar today was so much more important for them, regardless of the pitch. Because there's 4 overs of Bumrah coming.
I can't remember the last game, but they didn't do that, did they?
They were 46 without loss in the power play in Mumbai.
Yeah, they played more conservatively. Yeah.
They
did
not play. I was just going to say that they didn't play conservatively. They just couldn't get it going because the wicket was a bit slow, and Bumrah was just bowling these beautiful loopy slow balls with the new ball. Abhishek was maybe 5 minutes early to a few shots, and they got their plans right. I think Mumbai Indians have got their plans spot on to Travis Head and Abhishek, and I think a lot of other teams are going to follow suit, where they just don't give them pace, or like Nick said, just make sure that they are like going 5 kilometers off, on, and just not letting them settle into a rhythm.
I wonder if there is a breakdown there. One of the biggest themes for all the other 9 teams this season was, when we play Sunrisers, what's our plan for Travis and Abhishek, which was something they were reacting to this year, and this year they've come prepared, and that Sunrisers have no second line of defense.
That was the whole question about Sunrisers this year. Will they be able to do the same thing now with all the other teams knowing what their plan is? And I think the other question for them is, what is the confidence in the bowling like? Because when you talk about teams like GT or DC, when they're batting first, they can also approach the game in a way, because they know, okay, if we get 185, 90, we've got the bowling to defend that. Does Sunrisers have that same confidence, and they've had to bat first a lot? Are they thinking, look, our bowling isn't strong enough to defend anything less than 200? Yeah. Is that part of the issue too?
Yeah, because if you see their bowling, they've obviously set up a batting lineup which is very, very powerful on paper, and set up a bowling attack which is a defensive bowling attack, a really good defensive bowling attack. If you see most of their bowlers, if teams are going hell for leather, they will come in with really good slow balls, maybe a few Yorkers, and defend. But they have Shami as an attacking option, but he's not in the best form. But if you look at GT, I feel Prasidh Krishna and Siraj can get batsmen out, like Bolt, caught behind.
Rashid Khan, Sai Kishore. They're doing this without Rabada,
exactly.
Which is extraordinary.
So they're bowlers who can get the batsmen out, but here there are a lot of good defensive bowlers.
Okay, fair enough. I think there are lots of problems for SRH. I'll come to that a little later on, whether you think this is it for them, unless they go on some kind of crazy run like RCB last year and also bring in some results from other places. But let's just go back to the Mumbai Indians here, who now look like a very well-planned, well-oiled machine, and Hardik Pandya comes under the fire for tactics at times, but it now looks like they're just hitting a sweet spot.
I thought it was very good. I mean, the only area where you might look back, and this is a bit picky, is you might have said Bumrah to finish off, 9-10 instead of Vignesh coming back in there or bowling one over. You might have thought that.
Nitpicking, isn't it?
Nitpicking. It's nitpicking, which is unnecessary, so I'll shut up. But that was how good it was, that you're going to try and find that sort of area. I thought he was terrific. I think Trent Boult with the new ball didn't really swing it, I don't think, but he just did enough with it. So that'll be a real plus for them.
Has he also become a much better back-end bowler or death bowler?
Trent Boult? Yeah, although I think he's always been pretty good, hasn't he?
His numbers have been slightly down.
But there is I think, marked improvement
this season.
His numbers have gotten a lot better.
I think he has more wickets at the death than in the power play this season, actually. And he's gone at less than 10 at the death. Been nailing a lot of Yorkers. We had that conversation earlier, but he's been somebody whose Yorker percentage in terms of nailing them has been pretty good. So
yeah.
I mean, before the tournament started, I went for Mumbai for the reason of Trent Boult and Mitchell Santner, because I felt watching Mumbai last year, those two additions would be huge.
Yeah.
And with the new ball and Santner, I'm a massive fan of Santner. Variety, he just plays with them, just mixes up the pace and all of that stuff. I think he's terrific. He doesn't need the ball to turn, and he's still good in flight. So I think those two additions have been quite dramatic for them.
Santner, 100%. Like CSK have underutilized him for all these years, and finally he gets a go right at the start of the IPL, and he's just going with it, and he's making the most of this run which he's having.
I mean, their turn of form has actually almost coincided with Santner. Santner had a bit of a slow start of the tournament. The moment he's bowling better, it looks like Mumbai are winning.
Okay, Varun, I want you to take a break and just meet my friend Sagar from the audio team and just return in a second. So all that wonderful insight is being consumed by a slight audio glitch. We'll come back. Varun Aaron?
We'll wait for you.
He's gone, as you can see now. He's just passed. We made sure that you saw that as well. We're a transparent organization, show you everything. Right, let's just carry on the conversation. She's a lot of space, Nick and Dustin. Yeah. Now,
Do we not have an impact sub that we can bring in?
This is it. This is all my resources for the day. Let's also perhaps bring up that point that you raised a little earlier. And I'm not saying it's an excuse, but they'll also be thinking, gee, we are winning no tosses here. You get the advantage of seeing what these uncertain pitches are playing like. And if MI would have batted first, if SRH would have seen, okay, this is how it's playing, gives us some more intelligence. But now they've won 2 tosses out of 9 games.
Yeah.
The least,
8 games,
8 today for SRH. So 2 out of 8. Is that a good enough excuse, you think?
Not really.
Yeah.
I'm a hard man when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, when you look at the pitch as well, sometimes when you're a side that's struggling for form and confidence, the pitch looks a little different to that side because you're a bit tentative and your stroke play's not quite as authoritative, and therefore it looks like the ball's sometimes stopping in the pitch, whereas the sides that are really super confident, stepping out and hitting it, all of a sudden they're hitting through those balls. So I don't know. I mean, of course, you could argue that, but for me, it's identifying the match situation, identifying the conditions very quickly. GT did that so well at KKR the other night. You have to do that whether you're batting first or second.
And I think they're showing adaptability, GT. They're a good example for SRH because it's not like they're going slow. They're keeping themselves in the game, and they know there's perhaps vulnerability if they ever are 2 or 3 down too early. But they're giving themselves a chance. It'll be interesting to see how they play on a really flat deck, but we're not getting as many of those this season.
I mean, I guess the counter argument to that is Punjab Kings, because Punjab Kings are the one team that's playing the way Sunrisers did last season. It's all just go hard in the power play, go hard through most of the innings. But I mean, I don't know whether it's luck or they have lost a few wickets in the power play, but I mean, they're just having more success. It could just be that they have batters in better form. I mean, it might just come down to that.
There's been one individual brilliant knock by Priyancharya, which saved them one day.
And Prabhsimran Singh had a really good knock. Shreyas Iyer's had a few. So, I mean, it could just be that they've got the batters in form to execute that kind of model.
Varun, don't hold back. Just join us again, mate.
Come back.
Don't worry.
Sorry, guys.
All good, all good. Excellent. They could do with an incisive bowler like you, Sunrisers, but we've got you all to ourselves tonight. Just saying, 6 tosses wins for Shreyas Iyer this season out of 8. But anyway, not making excuses. Good teams should be better than that. Why don't we take your questions and comments on the game? Ujjwal kicks us off. He's a regular. Well, thank you for that, Ujjwal. Is Nitish Reddy lacking confidence after the Baroda Gavaskar Trophy? It looks like his fielding has gone down too. Well, that was an unfortunate end to the game. But it in many ways sums up Nitish Reddy's surprisingly poor season. What's going on?
You can call it second season blues. In IPL, that happens a lot. First season, you see a lot of guys do well when they're unknown commodities. Teams don't have much background. But second season is when they actually tested. Teams come with better plans. And I think that's what's happening. I think teams are better prepared. They're bowling to plans which he doesn't like. And unfortunately, it's not working out for them this year.
Kulatumani is saying, yes, SRH played poorly, but he echoes my point on the toss. There's a lot depending on tosses. It's so difficult to bat in the first 10 on certain wickets, and it progressively gets easier. Do you all agree?
Not really. It's like a broken record here, but you just identify the match situation and you get on with it and you make the best of it. And then you put your opponent under pressure. I agree, sometimes tosses with dew and stuff like that have an impact. I get that. But pitch conditions don't generally change much.
This is interesting from Nirmit Shetty. He says, how long would they going to stick to the same guys when they're losing? Is it time to overhaul or at least make some changes? Can you drop an Ishan Kishan and a Nitish Reddy and bring in Atharva Taide? Bring in Smaran Ravichandran, who was Adam Zampa's replacement. But Taide, we know, is again good sort of first-class player, has played for Punjab before. But at what point do they bring those kind of conversations into the dugout?
Taide is actually a really good player. He could come in for... See, if Ishan Kishan isn't getting runs, sometimes it's really good for him to just take a break and maybe for a game or two and then come back, get refreshed, because at the moment it can get to people, because he scored 38 runs in 7 innings now, which is really less, and I think he's got into a rut. It's better that he takes a break, rejuvenates, maybe just not go to the nets at all, just completely hits a hard reset and then comes back. That could do him good. But again, Taide, like for like kind of replacement, goes hard, could get you some runs, so why not just try an outsider?
Given he likes to walk, he could take a walk. Yeah. There's that as well. On a question to Nick, on a scale of 1 to 100, what are the chances of a batter not feeling one down the leg side?
I think you'd feel it. Down the leg side is the one area where you might just sort of feel like you've lost a bit of control, and I'm not 100% sure, but pretty much 100% sure. I can't remember a time where I've questioned myself, did I hit that or not? I think most of the time I've known whether I didn't or I did.
I genuinely think if I'm Kishan right now, I'm just speculating, but I genuinely think he was sure he hit it.
Yeah.
Well, he
And
might
we brought that up on our mid show. You can go and have a look at that chat. But RTS made him look sillier.
The umpire
later.
didn't turn it on.
Yeah, and yeah, there could have been all those things happening, because otherwise he's not even consulted with Abhishek.
Yeah.
He's just walked off and he knows. So unfortunate that, but
And especially against MI, because he would want to prove a point against MI. That's one team he didn't get a score last game.
Yep.
This game he would have been really eager to prove a point, but again, just walked.
So you'd feel it as well. I'm just trying to go through it now. If the ball just clipped the side of your hip or something, you'd feel it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%.
You'd feel it. So I think he knows he's hit it.
yeah, Rifat saying home advantage not working for home teams this season. Yeah, I think that's been one of the takeaways, hasn't it? Lack of home wins.
Yeah, I mean, there are few teams who have that problem. I mean, RCB surprisingly haven't been winning at home, but they've been winning enough away. Chennai obviously haven't had the kind of record they usually do at home. So yeah, there are a few teams doing better away than at home.
I can tell you now, very quickly on my notes, 8, 10, 13, 15 wins to home teams. And we are in match 41.
That's because BCCI this year have said we have a central curator and the teams don't have a say as to what wicket they're going to play on. So that could be a big factor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would you like to add anything else, either of you? No. Okay. Right. Yes, 15, but that's true. And of course, I'm counting some games with adopted venues here, Guwahati, Visakhapatnam. But yeah, it's certainly not been happy times at home. And tend to think that perhaps that will come into SRH's calculations when they plan for the next cycle. They picked a team where they thought they'll get 7 flat tracks. And that could also be in their bowling. Maybe you've not prioritized getting bowlers who have that wicket-taking pedigree because you thought, let's get defensive bowlers.
I don't think there was anything wrong with this pitch.
Nothing wrong with today's.
I don't think there's a huge amount wrong with it. I mean, you saw. I know it's different when you're chasing a subpar score and you've got the freedom to play like that. I get that, but that was not an awful pitch. I don't think it was a 250 pitch or a 230 pitch, but it wasn't. It was probably 180, 190, maybe even 200 if you play well. If you're a side in good form, being aggressive with your confidence to go at the ball and hit through the line of the ball, that makes a big difference to the look of a pitch. When you're a bit tentative, a bit nervous, you have a little prod at it, it goes straight up in the air, everyone looks at the pitch, something wrong with the pitch. Sometimes it's your mentality, because of your lack of confidence, you're not able to go and strike the ball. I don't know, I didn't think much of it.
Sure, Anita saying our pitch is so different to previous seasons, why has the home team not provided a pitch choice? Isn't that the reason it's called home? Well, we've been down this road many times, and what we do know, as Varun has said, is that there is central supervision of the surfaces this season. And perhaps, and more than one franchise has said that it's not up to them. That's the official word from the likes of Stephen Fleming, and I believe even the Sunrisers have said at times they don't get to choose which surface they play on. So, barring MI, nobody seems to be really turning it on at home. All right, what else do we have? Inform MI looks very dangerous, says Rifat. Yep, it now is reminding a lot of viewers of the MI that go all the way. But are we looking perhaps at a team that's eyeing the top 2? They've suddenly propelled themselves to 3, 4 places up. It's hard to argue against MI now.
That's the thing with champion teams, right? If once they smell blood, they feel like, you know what, we're onto it again, and that's what's happening with MI at the moment. They've done it so many times before, and they can just feel that, okay, you know what, we've hit a rhythm, we've done this before, and we can do it again. Compared to teams which haven't won the championship before, and MI won it 5 times, they could just feel that, oh, maybe we're having a good run. But MI are feeling, okay, this is the run which is going to take us to the final and win the cup.
Yeah, Lawrence is asking why can't they use Nitish Reddy as a 6th bowling option? He's a decent bowler, at least he can contribute in some way. From what I have gathered from the Sunrisers is that he's actually not fully fit to bowl, or he hasn't been cleared to bowl just yet. So that's one reason, but he has bowled a fair bit for them last year, and that's perhaps why he's not being used as a bowler. Akhlaq says, last season, Reddy, Klassen and Shabazz did well to get us to a pass score, so you got a Sunrisers fan there, but they don't have that kind of return, those kind of returns. Simple question from one of the accounts here is, what's happened to Head? What's happened to Travis Head this season? Such a fine player, all format player.
He's just losing his shape, and people are holding him to the same standards of last year. It's very, very difficult to follow that performance up, especially with the way Head and Abhishek bat. Because somebody like, let's take an example of, say, Shubman Gill, okay, because we've taken too many examples of Virat Kohli. Let's take an example of Shubman Gill. Again, his style doesn't really change through formats, through tests, through one-days. He bats a similar way. He just goes a bit more aggressive. But somebody like Travis Head, he opens up a lot more in T20 cricket. In Test cricket, he holds his shape a little bit. So when somebody changes format to format, he's not going to be as consistent as somebody like Shubman Gill.
Anything to add on Travis Head?
Well, I was watching the dismissal today, and I was watching it next door with you guys, and I thought, cool, that was there to hit. I mean,
that's what I thought. That was there to hit.
He'll be there to hit. That's right up Travis Head's alley. That is right where he wants it. Most left-handers want it there. They can just crack it somewhere over that offside. So why didn't he? And I sort of thinking to myself, is it just how it goes, maybe, or is it a little bit the conversation we were having earlier, where bowlers now are bowling slightly differently to him? They're not just going to go hard length, top of off stump. They're just going to mix it up constantly. And is that just having an impact on his connection and has the balls released? Is he finding the timing that perhaps he's found last year? I don't know. I mean, it's a good question to debate, but there's something not quite right. But and let's be honest, these guys are not machines. True. They're not machines. We're former players. True. I'm afraid you are going to fail. I mean, you're going to have bad times. So the problem with SRH is a number of their players are having a bit of a bad time at the same time.
But we have had run-making machines in the IPL. We still do have run-making machines. And the one thing common with all of them is their technique's really solid through formats. David Warner, Rohit, Kohli, Gill. Gill obviously now. Shikhar Dhawan, Shikhar, KL. All of these guys, I hardly see them switch techniques between formats. They're just solid players through formats, and that's why they have the consistency they have.
Okay, Abhishek says, Dustin Silgardo, sir, you are also a good analyst. He's a big Matt Roller fan. There's some Matt Roller missing going on our comment section. I'll send Matt those regards. What else do we have? This is a very interesting one. Why do teams, it's a general question, why do teams sub out their main players, asks Jacob Jack, likes of Dubey and Pathirana, Mitch Marsh, Rohit, Travis Head. What if the game gets into a super over? This is not for today, but generally. I don't know if the playing conditions, surely the playing conditions don't allow for an impact subbed out.
Simple answer, because we had the first super over in 4 years the other day.
They're not thinking about that.
Yeah, nobody's thinking about a super over.
It's a
I think MI subbed out Kapoor today, so they didn't sub
yeah,
out
but I'm saying on a
somebody
day
who
when
might-
you've subbed out, say, Travis Head or subbed out Rohit and it goes to a super over, you think both those two are prime candidates, even Mitchell Marsh.
I love the game, right? And I think about it a lot, but that might just be overthinking it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking right now.
All right, fair enough. Lots of these on whether SRH's season is over. Is it done? Season finished?
Don't they play CSK next game?
Yeah.
So it probably is officially, well, it might be officially for one of those two sides, whoever loses, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, can they hit a 6-game winning streak like RCB last year?
In cricket, anything is possible, but it's going to be tough to resurrect from this position given the kind of cricket they're playing and the resources they have, I would say.
Well, I think Matt's made a nice point earlier. He said, we saw the signs with RCB by this point, but we're not seeing the signs with some of the other teams. And I think SRH might be one of them. Right, Puneet lastly asks, is Matt Roller rolled out for the rest of the season? No, he'll be back. He's taken a week's break. Not break, he's on his way to Delhi. And he'll be back with us in a week or so. Dustin, I enjoy your company here. Please don't take offense to that. What else do we have? Ishan Kishan, we've discussed on our mid-show. Please go have a listen to that chat. Everyone's given their opinion on how bizarre the turn of events was. I can now tell you what Pat Cummins has also said, gentlemen. Oh, it's going to be hard for the Sunrisers captain. It hasn't worked out so far, says Pat Cummins. We have a few away games now. It's about assessing each wicket quickly. Some days it might be all-out attack and there'll be graft on others. He's saying the right thing.
That's exactly right. I mean,
But he has changed what he's saying from the start of the season, right? He in the start of the season he was like, no, this has worked for us. We're going to stick with it. But now he's finally saying that, okay, we got to graft.
But didn't Vittori also say something along these lines a couple of games ago that we have to assess conditions and bat accordingly? I think he also had a press conference where he said something similar.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it, right? This is where we can call it time on this particular game, which the Mumbai Indians have won comprehensively. They've jumped up to third spot on the points table, which is where they'd like to be, and they're probably gunning for one of Gujarat or Delhi to slip up enough so that they can claim a top 2 spot. Still lots of cricket to be played, but they also have a fair number of home games to go. I think 3 more home games out of their remaining 5 in the league. So that puts MI in pole position, one would think, to at least end up in the playoff spots given how they are playing. Right, it's time to have our rapid fire review. Gentlemen, you know how this works. Quick fire responses to sum up the game. 24 for 4 in the first 6, Nick Knight. Was that Mumbai winning the power play or Hyderabad losing it?
Hyderabad losing it.
Describe the Ishan Kishan walk, Varun Aaron, in 10 seconds.
I think he nicked it because no batsman would walk so confidently if they hadn't. So sometimes, just like we spoke in the mid-show, Sneeko doesn't show up, especially first ball of the over. That could be it.
All right, Dustin, this one's for you. Consecutive 50s for the first time since 2016. Is Rohit Sharma well and truly back?
Yeah, I mean, his scores were on a perfect upward graph. This one is just a little lower than the earlier one, but he's still, I think, on that upward graph.
All right. Varun, back to you. Rohit back in runs or Bolt among the wickets? What's the bigger boost or takeaway for MI today?
Rohit back in runs because he's somebody up top who gives them a lot of confidence, a lot of nostalgia when Rohit scores, so that just boosts the team.
Nick, 133 runs in 7 innings, striking at 110. What's gone wrong for Nitish Kumar Reddy?
Good question. Confidence, self-belief, all those sort of things that you have when you're struggling for form. Yeah, don't overthink it. I go back to the same thing I said the other day about somebody else. Watch the ball, play with instinct.
All right, and finally, 2 wins in 6 and the batting going nowhere. Is it curtains for Sunrisers' chances of making the playoffs? All 3 of you can dab at this. Nick?
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely.
Varun?
Never say never, but it doesn't look good for them.
Dustin?
Yeah, I don't think they can make it.
Okay, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much to Varun Aaron, who I will see back tomorrow. Dustin, in a couple of days. Nick Knight, this is where I say thank you so much for all the wonderful time you spent on the couch this season with ESPN Cricinfo. Wish you well. Back on the caravan with the World Feed and back home for the big summer. And back with us soon, I hope, in the near future.
Enjoyed chatting with you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Loved it.
Absolute pleasure, Nick. Thank you so much, and thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll be back for our coverage tomorrow in the IPL. RCB play RR, huge game for RCB, especially at home where they still have to pick up some points. Rajasthan Royals, they've entered now never territory already. So build up to that just before the toss on Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo Timeout. Good night.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.